All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Here, put that down for a second. I'm doing an intro. Oh, hey, everybody. Welcome back to TechOdyssey. So doing as you can see here, fancy collaboration with a fellow YouTuber by the name of GregglesTV. So this is actually kind of like a special episode that we're doing because both of us have the Microsoft Surface Duo. Ta-da! The man of the hour, the latest and greatest from Microsoft, the folding phone with the amazing engineered hinge and all the other greatness. So we wanted to talk about, is this phone worth $1,400? And should you consider getting one? This is a really, really hot topic right now because anytime a manufacturer asks $1,400 for a phone, it should bring a lot of seriously worth it things to the table, I think. And there seems to be some conflicting information with regard to, is it ready? Is it a finalized product? Does it have issues? And it's expensive. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about that. So Greg, talk to me. Do you think this phone is worth $1,400?
Right now it's not. It needs a good update because just using it, like, just for instance, like I'll go into like Instagram, and Instagram is like, I have trouble closing it sometimes. Like I turn gestures off. Like I don't have the bar to hit the home. It's like, I can't go home.
Yeah.
It's like
it does have issues. Like it's definitely got some bugs and quirks that it needs to work out. Like Instagram, I have issues with the camera app. It won't want to flip from one side to the other, or sometimes you try to switch screens, or it was doing the strobe lighting effect thing. It really seems like when they pushed this thing out, like there was a rush to get it out, and it's like maybe 85% there, but not all the way.
Yeah, and that's what I said in my first impressions. I was like, it's like 70-80% good, but that like 20% that's wonky about it is annoying enough to where I would say don't buy it. And even, okay, let's just say that because this is my guess, is that within 2 or 3 months that a lot of these bugs and things will be fixed on this, and maybe I'll be wrong, but I really think within 2 or 3 months they will be. And then at that point, is it worth $1,400? And I yes and no. The camera's whatever. Like it's weird taking photos with it a little bit. Like they don't come out that amazing. The videos are not that amazing. Like for like a consumer, like a person that is going to use this as their main phone, and this is going to be their camera and their video camera and their phone calls and everything, probably not, because it's just so, I don't know. It's like really good as like, I feel like it's like a consumable device. Does that make sense? Like all you do, and a productivity. Don't get me wrong, but like for a person like you're like a mom or a dad, like if they're only going to consume information and not create anything in terms of like a mom or a dad, then it's great. It'd be good for that, I guess. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think the best way to say this, and I said something similar in another video that I made, the hardware and the capabilities that it brings to the table when working properly as designed are worth it for the target demographic. The people that this phone is marketed and made for, I think, is worth it. If you're just a normal person out on the street who typically uses a Samsung or an iPhone, and you're like, hey, this looks cool, I want to get rid of my iPhone and go get a Microsoft Surface Duo just to use as a daily driver, I think that would be a mistake.
Right.
I don't think that you're going to realize the potential of what you expect out of this device, because it doesn't have a flagship camera. It doesn't have flagship media specs in it, like as far as speakers or as far as playback and things like that. It's just not going to be as enjoyable when you're listening to music or watching videos or making TikToks or whatever. So it has a very, very narrow window or narrow target of people that I think that this is really good for. So if you want to be able to have a lot of capabilities, nobody's really traveling anymore, but if you used to travel for work, or if you want to be able to work remotely and have 75-80% of the same capabilities you would have if you were normally using a Surface on the go, I think that this checks a lot of boxes to keep you engaged, but also able to, hey, if your boss sends you a spreadsheet, you can edit it and send it back. Or if you need to catch up on the news while you're working on planning out your schedule or doing some data manipulation. There are a lot of reasons that this works for the price point, but it's very specific to who it's for.
Yeah. Even for someone that works though, like, I mean, I guess because I don't really use my device, my phone, to like do spreadsheets or like Word files. Like I just don't fit. That doesn't in my life. When I type something, it's usually in Google Keep. It's like really something quick and easy. I'm more obviously towards the consumer side versus like a businessman. Anything I do business wise, like have it be video editing or long form typing, I'd rather do it on a computer anyway. But I don't know. It's just like, it's kind of, I mean, there's things about it that are cool in a consumer level. I don't know. Like I know you put a picture, which was pretty cool, about using this in bed. It's like, you said, it's like the ultimate, what you said, bedtime friend or something.
Yeah, it's great because, you know, all you have to do, you don't have to worry about scratching up the bottom screen. You just pop it up because the hinge can position itself anyway. So you just put it like this, pop on YouTube or throw on Netflix or Amazon. There are some really cool applications for it. And I do have to kind of follow along with what you were saying. If I were only using one phone, I couldn't just use this phone. Like it would irk me too much. Yeah. Like the Note really works great for me because it's a productivity oriented device, but also it's like at the cutting edge of everything. You know, great cameras, great screen, great audio, great, lots of good things. This right here wouldn't really cut it in that respect. But I think when we were kind of talking about the whole business demographic and enterprise, most of those people have two phones. So if you have a normal phone that you communicate with and normally do other things with, this lets you get rid of like the business phone and also maybe not carry around the laptop or a Surface everywhere.
But I don't know if I could do that. I mean, for me personally, it'd be so difficult to give up a laptop to get work done on this. Like, and I'm, you know what I mean? Like, I'd almost want this to be my main, if I was a businessman, like just traditional business person, I'd probably want this to be my main phone and not have another phone. Because our photos important? No. Our stereo speakers important? No. Our, you know, if as long as it runs okay, I'd be okay with everything else. But I know what you mean in terms of.
I guess it depends on what you care about.
Like, I don't think it's a laptop replacement. I don't personally think so.
No, I don't think it's a laptop replacement. I just mean you can take it instead of having to carry it all the time. Like if you're going on a business trip, there are certain situations you're going to need a laptop. You can't do everything on this, and it's not efficient to do everything on this. This is like, let's say me. When I go to the courthouse, normally I take my phone and I take my Surface Duo. I mean, my Surface Pro. But if I had this, I can take this and carry it in my pocket because I don't need to do crazy intensive things while I'm there. I look at the docket. I might do some scheduling. I might pull up some stuff on my legal server. But otherwise, I don't necessarily need a full Surface or a full laptop to go with me. This would work really well.
Yeah.
So it's not like an ultimate replacement. It's just lets you carry it in situations where you don't always have to carry it. Like there's sometimes you have to carry a laptop and you don't want to, and something like this would work well.
I think for me, we're the oddity because we deal with technology all the time. But for like a regular person, to go back to like the original question, I don't think it is right now. It's not a device really anybody should get on that level. Again, unless not even no level. I think what it's really good at though is watching video in bed because you don't need like you said, you don't need an extra case.
Also, ebooks are really nice.
Great. Well, I'm going to list them all. So watching video in bed, watching video on the go when you want to prop it up and do that. Reading books, you can literally hold it like a book, and you have a page on this side, you have a page on that side. It's the ultimate that way. Listening to music, I guess, as long as it's with Bluetooth. Obviously, the speaker's not that great, but with Bluetooth, it's going to be absolutely fine. And to have, you know, almost like a tablet-like experience where you see the columns down here to choose your music, and then here you see all the songs and stuff like that. Web browsing, just consuming information as a fun thing. Other than that, and that's if you have a lot of money and you want to spend a lot of money on this. Otherwise, I would probably still tell you to get a traditional candy bar phone.
Yeah, and that is a good point. There are people who really like to consume information, consume content, consume media. So if you want to have Netflix or YouTube or something on one side, the other side you want to check the stock index, you want to sit there and read the news, or if you want to do other things, it's really great at being able to do two things at once. Like, I like that, and it has them distinguished enough to where it's like you can keep them separate, but kind of pay attention to both at the same time. But like you said, unless you just really, really want this device and you have money to spend, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody either, really. I mean, because I don't think the people that it's targeted towards, I don't think it's quite 100% yet. So like you said.
And even the people it's targeted for, like, that's, for me, it's such a small percentage of people that would actually probably end up getting it. I can't imagine they're going to sell a lot of these. Like, do you think?
I don't think that they necessarily will, but I don't think they have to. And that's probably baked into the price as well. One of the reasons why it's very expensive. They probably didn't make like a whole ton of them to drive the cost down. So I'm sure that part of that's passed off in that. But no, I don't really see somebody sitting in a meeting for like an enterprise management meeting at a corporation be like, hey, we're going to get 1,000 of these. Okay, guys. Like, yeah, I don't see that. I think maybe by the time the Generation 2 one comes around, this is not a necessity. Like, if you look at it and you say, all right, do we have to have that? Can you do things with this that other phones can't do just as well? In certain situations, the answer to that question is going to be yes, it can do things that others can't as well. But is it worth the extra dollars in that price tag? I don't think so. But
let me ask you one question before, I don't know if we're going to finish up soon, but what do you think version 2 has to be and has to have for it to be a consumer device that people would want?
It needs more massive, like, it needed to have 2 cameras, really. It needs to have one on the front and the back. That to me, I think they really skirted around that one.
Or like some kind of rotating thing. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah, it needed to have one on the front and the back. And I get they want to keep it skinny, but there's no band 71 for LTE for the 600 megahertz spectrum. That irks me. It needs to have 2 fully functional speakers.
Talk about band 71, because that, if someone that doesn't know, they're going to be like, what the hell is band 71? Compatible for.
So band 71 is a 600 megahertz spectrum that they came out with about a year and a half ago. That's really what's enabling a lot of this expanded network connectivity on T-Mobile, AT&T, the sub 6G 5G connection that you can get in places, and basically, the better network coverage in areas where there wasn't typically LTE coverage for T-Mobile and stuff. So that's a really important band that they came out with last year that they started putting in the new phones, like the Snapdragon 855, 865. It's curious to me, this being an 855, it doesn't have it. So they should have put that in there. Also, it needs, I think, still a little bit larger battery, and wireless charging would be nice. That's really kind of a convenient thing these days. Of course, it makes it harder to be thin with the wireless charging coil in there. Doesn't necessarily have to have a headphone jack, especially since they've got the Surface Buds. And there's one other thing I'm trying to remember. Oh, facial recognition. It would have been so simple to put that in here.
Yeah.
It would. It needs more consumer features to make it more of a phone if people are going to carry this as a phone but use it as a productivity device.
Yeah. For me, I agree with you. It needs the cameras. For me, I think it'd be nice to have 3 cameras, but I think ultimately it only needs 2. And for me, I would want a main camera and a wide angle camera. Actually, 3 cameras and a selfie camera. I'd want 2 on the back, 1 on the front.
And it doesn't have to be the most amazing, just one, at least, so you don't have to flip the phone around all the time.
Yeah. I think I actually don't mind the design and the way the software is. I would like a little bit more. Obviously, I don't want the bugs there. Who would want the bugs there? I'd like there to be more customization with the home screens. Unless I haven't found it, there's you can't make things smaller or bigger. You can't change the square icons. Third party. At least the one I tried, third-party launchers act funny with it.
Yeah.
The typing experience is a little bit wonky, I feel like, unless you close it or you turn it this way. So things like that, which is a software thing. But yeah, to go back to it, I think that the 2 cameras, and maybe that's, and face unlock, like you said. Obviously, band 71 or 5G. I mean, to me, it's not a huge deal. 5G is not a big deal, but it'd be cool that it had it. I don't think really anything else. I think I'm okay with everything else. Even though this has an 855 and 5 gigabytes of RAM, it's generally pretty fast when it's not acting weird. Don't you? Do you think that? Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, and there were a lot of people that were, and I was one, when they first said that they were going to put an 855 in it. I don't have a problem with the 855. I think it's a very capable chip, especially with no 5G. It doesn't burn up the battery as fast, which is important because it has a relatively small battery for as big of a phone as it is. So it's just, a year and a half old processor for a $1,400 phone. That's really why it kind of irked me, but I don't think it needs it.
The price too. I think that's the other big thing. The price has to come down. Like if this thing was knockout, had a decent camera, had everything me and Adam just talked about,
no question.
The price has to come down. Like the price has to probably be like, I don't know, $1,000. I mean, maybe that's completely out of the question because you're getting two displays that are pretty nice and stuff. But the price of maybe 1,200, it probably has to be at least before like mass market would actually even think about this. If it had the things we spoke about,
it is still a little cost prohibitive. I mean, the thing with businesses, they don't want to spend a lot of money. So this very much right now is a tech enthusiast product. I don't see this as you're going to walk into Walmart into a meeting there and be like, hey, I want all of your executives to buy these. I just don't see, and maybe it's just because I'm not privy to these things. There had to be enough of an interest from Microsoft to say we should make this, other than just to try and get back into the sector. But see, Microsoft can afford it. They're crazy rich, so it's not going to be the end of the world for them. I think this is just a starting point, and it's like, look, we'll throw this out there and see how it sticks. And then, we'll improve as we go forward. But it's not as big of a risk. Like if TCL or somebody like a startup went out and tried to make something like this and it didn't sell a lot, it would be bad for them because I don't think they could afford to make a second one.
But I think at the same time is that like even though it's been in the minds of everyone, like we've known about it for I think almost a year or more at this point, it's like it still feels rushed. Like we said it in the beginning, the software feels rushed. I don't know why they didn't just wait until it wasn't weird and it was just intuitive and it felt comfortable to use like any other candy bar phone would, or even the LG Velvet. I mean, by the time I got it, maybe it had all the bugs worked out, but it's not a buggy phone, and it works and it's easy and it's intuitive. So like, I don't know. It just seems weird that they couldn't get that right. And that's the turnoff for me about the device, is that it just isn't ready, even though it's out. And I'm not surprised either. I put a bunch of videos out saying it's probably not going to be ready, and it's kind of not ready.
Well, I think the biggest thing that surprises us about that is that it's Microsoft, and it shouldn't be these kind of problems because they're like the leading software company in the world. So, but
they did it with Xbox too. I mean, remember the Xbox, was it the 360 initially right after Bad had Red Rings of Death? And so it's almost, sometimes that's just their moniker. That's just their DNA at times with products, is that they're buggy, they're crappy, but then they work it out and it's amazing. So I still have high hopes for this. I think, like I said, it's going to be within the next few months, maybe by the end of the year, early next year. I think it's going to be a really good device, and you're going to see people re-reviewing this, saying like how good it is for what it is.
That's a good point. And I'm going to go and wrap it up because I think we're kind of on the same page here. Give it a couple of months, let them iron out the kinks, and it's going to be a better product. I think it'll be something that people appreciate more.
And cheaper.
And it'll probably be cheaper too. Yeah, there'll probably be a sale around Christmas. But
yeah, overall, $12.99, I bet.
It's a good product. I enjoy it. It has issues. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think for most people, it's not worth the $1,400. I think the hardware is, but as far as to appeal to the consumer, I don't think so.
I agree.
All right. So that was it. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this fireside chat with Greg and I as we talk about whether the Microsoft Surface Duo is worth your $1,400. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section. Go check out GregglesTV on YouTube. You also check them out on Twitter and everywhere else as well, and on the Instagrams. So thank you, Greg, for stopping by for this video, and we'll see y'all guys next time.
See you guys.